Thiruvan Sarana, dear friend of Dhamma, welcome to our English Home talk. First, we would like to pay our Buddha for the spiritual Dhamma guidance teacher. And we also like to thank you all for attending this Dhamma Sukha discussion. Then we will talk about Dhamma. Anyone who has realized the truth, or anyone who has attained the first stage in the supermundane plane, Sotapanna, will never fall into bad world of ills. He is known as Niyata Sambodhi Parayana. Bodhi means Buddha. Try to see through this illusion on the screen and realize the truth that there is nothing. Try to see the illusion on the screen and try to eradicate it means to completely destroy Lobha, Desha, Moha and Moha. After that, you begin to feel the nature of the Buddha Subhavya, and experience to serenity and calmness. As you continue the mindful or your wisdom, also known as the Bodhihanga or Buddha nature, continues to develop. This Buddha nature is an emptiness, a super solitude, uttarittara hudakalawa. As wisdom grows, the mind becomes pure and ultimate, untamed. When the ignorance is erased little by little, you begin to see the pure truth in everything. You awaken to a pure and untamed mind, your Prabhasarasita. The Prabhasarasita that you had when you were born, the Prabhasarasita, it does not have fetus or oxala, such as Lobhadesha Moha. When you begin to reduce or dissolve your fetus, such as Lobhadesha and Moha, you are known as the uh, Sri Nasrarhatan Hansi, being mindful and seeing everything outside according to the Yathabhuta Jnana makes you develop wisdom to enter the first supermundane plan called Sotapanna. At the beginning of the path to Nirvana, you need to the practice that all what we see outside are only thoughts. At the beginning of the path, you will learn to see thought, the images on the screen and mindful of the pure truth, which is the white screen. This is the first step on the path to Nirvana. And this practice will lead you to attain the first stage of the supermundane plan called Sotapanna. The second stage of being mindful is to develop the wisdom to attain the stage of Anagami. To attain the wisdom of an Anagami, one has to be mindful that there is nothing as thoughts, that thoughts to do exist. How do we learn to see that all what we see are thoughts? For example, the scientist named virus as corona, and after some time they changed the name COVID. When they change names like this, you realized that there is no truth to anything. The vehicle production company produced the vehicle according to a certain shape and they call it a car. Then the same thing, they will produce another shape and all it a jeep. They would continue to change the shape and give the different names. It it is we who assign different names of different shapes. What we can say is that this is where there is certain process or diabolic, and to this process to seem to assign different names. This process could be natural process or mundane process. All what we seem to do is that we assign different names to them. Some examples of assign names to natural process to given below. For example, look at the newborn baby. Doesn't the baby move his limbs as he pleases? Do not he breathe on his own? Do he not eat when he is fed? But he did not realize, oh no, nothing that he does. But newborn baby deserve process and he does perform some actions. Isn't your breathing process and the breathing process of a newborn baby who has a pure and untainted mind the same? Isn't this process of breathing common to you and the newborn baby? Let us also look at the process of walking. You think that you are walking. It is you who assigns a name as walking to that process. There is nothing as walking. In Sinhala, we call it mm, um, Abhidhinava. And in English, we call it walking. It is a sound. What we have to realize is that it's only an action. Therefore, if you remove the sound from the action and only observe the action, then you would be able to erase the name sound that was assigned to it by the Samuthiya. When you are on the path, this process of erasing of the name or sound happens little by little. When you practice, you observe only the process without the sound. You begin to see and feel that there is nothing. You realize that all you see was made in the mind. Once you realize the pure truth and become so one, your mind cannot trick you anymore. You cannot become a so one unless you realize the pure truth using both awareness and wisdom. When you become a so one, you begin to see that the outside is not true. And that realization comes with the development in awareness and wisdom, darshana or bodhi, not by concentration meditation or samatha meditation. It won't be possible for you to attain nirvana if you believe that this mundane world is true. You have to apply an effort and awaken your wisdom so that you can attain all first stage of waking in the super mundane plan Lokottara Bhoomiya. Then, my dear friend of Dhamma, our Buddha Father Arana say explained yoga and truth Dhamma for every day. So, at Sutra Deshana, like this. Then, sometimes when we practice in Dhamma in our day-to-day life or Pratipada, sometimes we face some problems or get a solution. Then, Buddha Father, our Dhamma Garana teacher, always ready to give a solution, give a correct path and explain to the Dhamma. Then sometimes Buddha Pada, the Dhamma guidance teacher, joining class till we listen to the Dhamma talk. The Tervals and everyone.
Niruvan Saranai, may the noble triple gem bless us all. First, let us pay homage at the feet of our spiritual guide, noble friend, Venerable Buddhotpadu Aryan Mahansa. Today, we wanted to continue our discussion on practical path to liberation and end of suffering. And as you all aware, the practical pathway is the only way for the freedom. Why do we say that? And why did Buddha value the practical pathway more than anything else? And why our noble one, Venerable Buddhotpado Aryan say, is always telling us to be more practical? First, we'll look at how the noble ones are successful in the eradication of suffering or the pain, sorrow, and sadness in their remaining lives. By now, we all know we operate on the six senses or the six entities, and it's another mechanical process that compared to another natural phenomena like tree or river or any other nature. But only difference is that as humans, we have illusion or the vijnana mayava that will bring us the sorrow and sadness, suffering, all these difficulties we encounter day-to-day life. The important wisdom we all should develop is yatha bhuta jnana. It's another type of wisdom Buddha and the noble ones or all the spiritual guides like our teacher always asked us to develop. A close explanation to this yatha bhuta jnana is understanding how yatha means closest word is reality and bhuta means creation. And the reality creation wisdom, you can give an example to this. So when you know the truth or the wisdom of truth, that is how the world is created on the six senses, by now you know it's a system based on the senses, and there is nothing coming from outside, or it's just a equilibrium of or telepathy of two ends. That's in Pali Samanantara. So the classic example, as our noble one gave, the television modern day. When the television is turned on, the sensors, the system, or the motherboard of a computer or whatever the devices we have nowadays will have a parallel equilibrium to the signal, the television signal creation place, and the picture started to capture in the television or the computer or in your phone. Similarly, in our chittarupas, or the vision we are getting or the images we are having, is created based on samanantara or equilibrium of two ends based on the vibration. So this is depending on origination. So the six senses operate depending on the outside causes, and the effect is the visions. So as soon as you understand this, all these thoughts, images are created on the five senses and the mind, you have the yatha bhuta jnana or reality creation wisdom. Soon as you get this wisdom, you will gradually start to liberate yourself from illusions created by these six senses. This is what all the noble ones are helping other humans to understand and liberate others also from suffering. But coming back to the example I was talking about in the beginning, what is this chitta rupa? Or what is this create your images or visionaries? In other words, this is the world that creates within you. In Buddha's word, Salayatana Loko Loko, that means based on the six entities, the world is created. So, these six senses will create chitta rupa or images or snapshot. Therefore, it is evident that the world did not exist outside, it is within us. The one who understands this philosophy or the truth is known as Shrutavat Shravaka. And Shrutavat Shravaka is someone who heard the Dhamma, well heard Dhamma disciple. The well heard Dhamma disciple doesn't get tricked by the illusion created by the six sense entities or the senses. And he will gradually understand that he is living in an illusion. Because he knows that the picture or the images created in his is not actually exist, is a mirage or an illusion. The Srutavat Shravaka or the learned follower is not anymore tricked to believe there is an outside world, since he knows the truth. The truth is that the world is created within yourself. The learned follower will understand when he sees something is just a sight or heard something just hearing or heard, and when he tastes something it's just a taste, smell something just a smell, and body sensation just a sensation, and thought or image is just a thought. And this is the liberation, and this is the time you will feel that there is no any I-ness or ego or personality to maintain. And this is the whole Buddhist expectation of tranquility, vidarshana, tranquility. This is something similar to learning how to ride a bicycle when you were young. Before you knew how to ride the bicycle, it was something quite challenging. When you learn the technique of the bicycle riding, it becomes something normal. As Buddhotpada Arana is giving the example of magic, as soon as you understand or discover the magic trick, that doesn't amaze you anymore. Similarly, when you realize the truth of the system or the six entities or the senses, you will not again be victimized or illusioned by the system, and you understand it's just a system. Coming back to understanding how it works, we know that due to the process known as telepathy or samanantara, our senses are working, and samanantara is something being equal in two ends, and we know our eyes, which has the vibration outside, is parallel to the sight it creates the vision inside it. And same time, we know it's not something happens in outside, it's within, inside. The example of the noble one, that colorblind child who can't see a particular color doesn't see that color because he has that fault in his eyes, not because that color is not existing in outside. And the animals like cows has one color and it can't see the other colors. So everything is created within us, and understanding of it will give you that we are living in our own imagination, and this imagination doesn't have any value, even though we value it and try to create defilements, ego, I-ness, and maintain profiles within us. With that, we brings all these trouble to our lives. The ignorance in mankind is that the aramuna, or the perspective we make, with the perspectives we make, we get the feel that we are in existence. With that, the soul is created, ego is created, defilements are created. And there is no truth to this perspective. And this is what all Buddhas teach. And Venerable Buddhotpada Arana is also emphasizing the importance of understanding there is no truth to the perspective. And the perspective is the issue. And the perspective is the one make measures and comparing and making ego. With that, all these defilements and defilements create suffering. Understanding this reality is the key wisdom, or the Yathabhuta Jnana, or the closest English translation to this is Yatha is reality, Bhuta is creation. Reality creation wisdom is the must. When you understanding how this is created within us, you gradually started to avoid falling into the trap of carried away by the system, six entities, or the senses. And this is what you call living to the moment, mindfulness, and the vidarshana tranquility. And you get the freedom of being slave to your thoughts. And this freedom is priceless. We guarantee you This is the best gift you can ever get from someone else to understand the reality and living in the present moment. And times goes on, you will understand your defilements, your cravings, your agitations, anger, and hate are disappearing gradually. With that, there is no one to protect, preserve, kill for, or die for. Imagine for a second, without defilements, hate, anger, and all, how do you feel? This is exactly what all Buddhas are telling mankind, and noble ones, Kalyana Mitra, are trying to pass that message. However, by knowing the truth or the having Yatabhuta Jnana is not adequate enough for someone to get the freedom and free yourself from the suffering. You need to have the skill or the kusal to overcome the system. And we have habits and practices, behaviors, which is called patisota, which is winding with the soul, egos and defilements, which has been practiced in this life as well as in previous ones. So, the Buddha's word to opposite of patisota is the anusota, that is unwind. How do you unwind yourself from blown away by uncontrolled and you are helpless and victim of the samsara journey? How do you overcome this? You need to have determination and help of noble friends. You have to have determination to overcome from the system or unwind or anusota from blown away by this system. That is kusala supasampada. That's the greatest merit one can do And as Tathagata says, that is the greatest merit one can do, more than spending billions of rupees or any other donations you can do. And Buddha has guaranteed that anybody who realizes the truth and go through the practical pathway within 7 days to 7 years, he or she will find the liberation and end the suffering. This was guaranteed by Tathagata himself, but the key is to understand there is no truth in the thought. That is, no meaning in the perspectives we are making based on the senses operations. Due to ignorance, we always have this unskill or akusal that carry us to trouble, which is ultimately gives us this sorrow, sadness, and suffering. Therefore, again, coming back to the key part of the depending and origination is that understanding and realizing the world is created within us. And that doesn't mean there is no world outside, but the world each one of us is creating is within ourselves based on the six entities and the how it operates to create the world or the imagination to best serve ourselves. By understanding the cause and effect of these creations, the well-learned disciple will understand actually it's nobody's fault but within ourselves the ignorance and the suffering is due to ignorance experienced. So as soon as you understand how this system operates and what we are trying to do is we are trying to own the system and keep it as the way we want is the main cause for the agitations and all the pain or the burning sensations we felt when we can't keep the things as we want are felt, and the vibration and the how senses are functioning based on the vibration, and there is nothing for us to hang on more than to have cravings, attachments, resistance over hate, and all these similar irritations we created are no meaning. They are meaningless. And this is the realization by the Arya Parishioner or the noble explorer will understand when the depending on origination and cause and effect nature of the world is understood. This nature is timeless, and anytime the beings are born, are exposed to, and due to ignorance, they continue to go in the samsara journey and experience the pain and all endless suffering. So all Buddha's teaching is, and the people who have practically experienced how they overcame it, is to improve your skill set after knowing the truth, universal truth, and be mindful by being in the present moment how this illusion is created every moment, and not getting caught in the thoughts, because the thought is actually not real. The wisdom to achieve this Yathabhuta Jnana or reality creation wisdom will save the well learned disciple from all these illusions. The illusion of the system is always so unskilled and from the birth to death, that ignorance and the preference of the beings to live in this illusion is very hard for anyone to coming out and liberate themselves from it. And end of this body, when it's completed its usefulness, then will create the next existence. This is not too hard to understand for a practitioner once he realizes the whole system runs on thoughts and birth is also the creation of thoughts and death is also the same thought that will be and another thought is immediately being created. And it is the speed or the skanda that keep us in this illusion. These illusional thoughts will not stop with one body. As we discuss the telepathy of the vibration, which is similar to how the one phone managed to capture the vibration or signals coming from the other phone, our thoughts, final thoughts, will find the similar setup of environment where that thought can be regenerate and continuation of the existence. This is why Buddha, Tathagata always explain that it is a dangerous thing, and the example of this is in his own words, is Adimano Kukuro, that is someone who has quite extreme ego can be equal to the similar system would be the dog. Adimano means extreme ego is, and the Kukuro is the dog. So in his time, and there are examples of some of the people who were having extreme egos due to caste system in those days of the Buddhas. Departure from the body would found the same person born as a dog. This is why all the Buddhas are fellow human beings. This is not a place even for a second for you to enjoy and entertain your six senses. And it is meaningless, but it has repercussions of that will not only give you the suffering in this life, but continuation of the samsara. And this suffering can't be judged by the time. And it is easy to understand that if you look at the what see by us in our using our six senses as the universe and all, we can't understand where or when it was started, and you can get lost in this nature without finding any way out. And the opportunity you get as a human born with sound mind, and especially here in the dependent and origination, cause and effect, Dhamma, or the universal truth, is very rare. This truth is heard only very few times, maybe when you had in your samsara journey. Even if you heard it, you might not be able to, or you would have been in a status to understand it, or ability to go in the practical pathway and hone your skills to unwind from the system and liberate yourself from this endless samsara journey. There are examples in Tathagata's time, and our Venerable Buddhotpada Arana is also showing those instances. Even if you have all these conditions, even if you sit in front of Buddha, you won't be able to grasp it due to ignorance. The best example is Devdutt, who was prior to Siddhartha became Buddha, was his cousin, and he grew up with Siddhartha, and he was always in competition with Siddhartha. This resulted that believing he can be a Buddha, that ignorance destroys ability to, even though he was intelligent enough to attain nirvana, he destroyed and end up suffering unimaginable time in some bad realm. So only chance for the all the Buddhas and the noble one, Buddha Mahansa is also proving it, is when you born as a human being with a sound mind and going through the practical pathway is very rare, but beings are able to achieve this and help themselves to elevate from this unimaginable pain and also help others to achieve it. Isn't it not too hard to understand? Because you and I understand that we have the capacity, something called ability to feel things, and that wisdom you will experience throughout your life. Even sometimes you become a slave to your thoughts and imagination, do something wrong, but still within you, you will feel it's not the right thing to do, and then you, your own, correct yourself. This is the wisdom only humans have, and this wisdom gives you the power to eternal liberation as well. This nature you can't find in animals or any other beings which don't have the other five senses the way us humans have to understand how the five senses are operating with the or operation or the sensitivity of it create the first round of thinking pattern, and then the second round how the mind operate on top of it. Even though it is hard, you can understand yourself now since you know the universal truth depending origination and cause and effect of these senses. practically create, experience this phenomena and understand is just a system and manifestation of these sensors based on the vibration is nothing to get attached or to disattach and create discomfort to yourself and other beings around you. The Shrutava Shravaka or well-learned practitioner will understand that is the system similar to any other phenomenon in the nature, which is similar to a tree, a river, or any other natural phenomenon. The body of a human is also a system, and this system operates its own. The mistake the humans or ignorance or the person who don't know the truth is that he is clinging onto it as his or her own and try to preserve it the way the ignorance person believe that it should be stayed on. This is the creation or this is the cause for suffering, because you know by now it's very lack of skill thing to believe that we can keep our body and mind the way we want to keep. It is not possible. It's changing every second. Impermanence. And this is why we all are suffering. To summarize today's talk, now we understand that we are part of a natural phenomenon based on the natural law that is dependent on origination, and by understanding this Dhamma or the nature, you would be able to realize that as soon as you prevent being part of the illusion and hone your skills to unwind the habits and practices that made us to, to be tricked into be part of the system, and you allowing this illusion to carry yourself as it as your destiny, create imaginable pain not in this life but throughout the samsara journey. And to overcome this is to live in the present moment and bring back your wisdoms to liberate yourself, and you are capable of doing it with within yourself. So, as another human being, what we can give as an advice is don't delay anymore. Start it now, today, and each small step will give you a giant leap of achieving this. The best thing you can do to yourself and other beings. By listening to this, adding skillful marriage to your samsara journey may assist you to attain blissful nirvana and end all suffering, pain to yourself and the other beings. May the noble triple gem bless us all. Finally, again, let us pay homage at the feet of the noble one, Kalyana Mitra, Venerable Buddhotpada Arana Vahanse. Thiruvan Saranai.
Thiruvan Saranai. Our Dhamma friend's speech is over. Thiruvan Saranai Meherin Vahanse, much merits to you for your introduction. And thank you, our Buddhotpada Dhamma friend, for your valuable speech. Thiruvan Saranai Arana Vahanse. Thiruvan Saranai, everyone.